Oh, let me send this to Jesse.
Streaming now.
Okay, we're streaming now, guys. Good morning. And let me send this over to Jesse. But you guys can see it. You guys should be able to hear me. We're going to be talking about NPCs. Hope you like it. Some of you won't, I think.
Oh, it's the Hake.
False start, guys. My fault. Shameful.
Oh, it's the Hake report. The Hake report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake report. The Hake report. La la la.
Good morning, guys. So we're going to be talking about the Jew blamers, and many of our listeners, I think, are my listeners anyway. And so I'm going to talk to you about it. You can call in 888-775-3773. I also want to talk about Cenk versus Tucker.
Oh, it's the Hake report. The Hake report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake report. The Hake report. La la la.
So, good morning, guys. Oh, shoot. What's happening? I hate that. So I'm just turning it on my iPad, and yes, I am late this time. I wanted to talk about how whites are turning black. Case in point, I'm late, and I'm black on the inside, white on the outside. And by black, I mean like corrupt. I don't necessarily mean like black people, not necessarily. So anyways, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining. So I am seeing a lot of, okay, first of all, there was a shooting, a synagogue shooting, and so I thought this would be good timing. I've been wanting to get this off my chest for a while anyways. As you all know, there is an increase in people thinking that they're getting red-pilled and blaming Jews for the degradation of morality in America. And just in general, America has become more like globalist, more communist, more socialist, more everything else, anti-freedom, anti-white, anti-Christian, blah, 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 blah. And there's a lot of people who are blaming Jews for that. And they don't want to look at themselves. They don't want to look at why the whites were so weak. They want to blame the baby boomers. And it's funny because that's ageism. Ageism is when you hate people based on their age. And I can kind of understand it because I was shocked by a person that I know and respect who happens to be a boomer, a baby boomer, meaning the people that are in their probably at least 50s, 60s, 70s, possibly even 80s. Those people, some of them are traumatized by the fake racism propaganda that was spread by the news in the 60s when they sicked dogs and fire hoses on black protesters who were acting out. So they thought that there was racism. And so they were tempted, like the good conservative men whom I like respect, were even mildly tempted to, Satan told them to vote for Obama. They didn't do it, but like, it's that bad. And so I definitely understand that like the boomers have a different trauma from like millennials and Gen Yers. They have every generation has their symptoms and their struggles and their issues. And somebody wants to be moderator. I don't know you, Chris. So you can call in, you guys can call in, like I said, 888-775-3773. But there's a lot of scaremongering about racism and anti-Semitism and all that stuff. And then there's actual people that actually hate and want and end up killing. And part of it is because the whites don't know how to handle the attack on them. So some of them get mad, and some of them blame, and some of them occasionally they'll even kill. Like that man, the young guy. Who is the guy that shot up the church? Dylan Storm Roof. He got mad because of the attack on white people, the false notion that there's racism and that white people are the problem. And let's see, what else? James, I love you, man, but there needs to be an explanation for the correlation between media ownership and the propaganda we see that is designed to undermine whites. I know that, but that's not the deeper problem. So, Arson, I appreciate it, but you have to admit that, thanks for the tip, spoiler alert. I should make you a mod. So anyways, there's a lot of people that are blaming Jews, and it's not healthy. It's not good for your health. It's not good for anybody. It's not, and in all honesty, there are good people that get turned off by all this blaming, and you don't want to go down that road of blame. So I wanted to talk about how people who are losers. And it happens to, I think, everybody. People who are losers become conspiracy theorists. And I talked about how I've talked in the past about how blacks have become conspiracy theorists. They believe in this racism conspiracy theory. And we all know that it's pushed on them by the media. And, but that's not an excuse for them. They're to blame for it. And they're to blame for falling to victimhood. And same with everybody else. When Obama won, a lot of conservatives or, anti-Obama people who hated Obama, became conspiracy theorists. They became more conspiratorial. And there was studies that, people who lose are more likely to be conspiratorial about why they lost. And the Trump haters, look at all the Trump haters. They believe in this Russia conspiracy theory. They believe in all kinds of crazy things about Trump. They're just insane. TDS syndrome, Trump derangement syndrome, is off the charts. And people are really losing it. I lost it a little bit when Obama got reelected. I got so mad. I got my first speeding ticket. I was listening to Sean Hannity, all mad. Sean Hannity wasn't necessarily mad. I was. I was speeding. So that was my first speeding ticket the day after Obama got reelected, 2012. Pretty funny story. So there are crazy people, and I noticed that good people, like friends of the show, friends of mine, friends of Jesse's, will turn on Jesse anytime that they disagree with him or he disagrees with them. And you notice it. I noticed it with the pot debate when Jesse was against legalizing marijuana. He said, don't even bring up alcohol. That's the fact that alcohol is a problem and it's legal is not a reason to also legalize marijuana. And his point about marijuana is a spiritual point, and this is what I notice that gets to me. Is it okay to worship the dank kek? I don't know. I don't know who that is. So where was I? Oh, yeah, these people are missing the spiritual points. So Jesse brings up that pot, just like alcohol, dulls your senses, and you are no longer clear-minded. You want to be clear-minded. You want to be your best. And yeah, those of us who have alcohol issues, that's a problem too. But let's not bring pot into more prevalence, because it's already very prevalent, and the culture surrounding it, the mainstream culture, is very degenerate. It just is, and it's all about it's about getting high. There's a lot of health benefits that you guys may know about. I guess. I don't really care about that. What I care about is what Jesse cares about, which is the high part, the getting high part. That's what the problem is. And so that's what he's pointing out. and everybody's jumping on him and me for they're accusing us of being hypocrites for not also talking about alcohol at the same time. That's kind of like the old, when Jesse talks about blacks will say, whites do it too. Well, we're not talking about whites right now, are we? So we're not talking about alcohol right now, are we? We're talking about the pot thing. And that pot is, if in the sense of it, using it to get high or getting high off a pot, that's not a good thing. So, and his point was a very spiritual point, but all they talked about was all their stupid knowledge about health benefits and alcohol is worse, and you're a hypocrite for wanting to keep pot illegal but not wanting to make alcohol illegal, whatever. That's not what hypocrisy is. There is a Bible verse that Jesse read about where Jesus called people hypocrites, and it was the religious leaders who not only refused to enter the kingdom of heaven themselves, they also worked to prevent others from entering it themselves. So people who are for legalizing pot and they are for people getting high, that's not advocating for people to enter the kingdom of heaven, because they're just going to be high instead of entering the kingdom of heaven. So I just wanted to point that out. And then people also get crazy with Jesse about Jesse going against them, because a lot of whites who blame Jews happen to listen to Jesse because Jesse is for white people. He's for all people. He's for white people, though, because white people are under attack unjustly. But he's not for blaming Jews. And so when he says, don't be blaming Jews, you're going to fall into a ditch, they completely miss the point. And then they start talking about everything that the Jews are doing wrong, getting into their knowledge and missing the whole spiritual point of his argument is don't get into blame. And I've seen guys that say, good guys that will hear Jesse say this, that Jew blamers are losers, they're beta males and all that stuff. He'll say that. And then he'll say, somebody will say, good guys, like I said, they'll completely straw man what Jesse said. They'll say, Jesse, according to Jesse, anybody who remotely criticizes Jews is a beta male, or tells the truth about what's going on is a beta male. No, that's not what he said. He said anybody who blames. And I have some illustrations of this. Like, we put out a video yesterday on Jesse Lee Peterson's channel, and I want to get to it, but I want to get to at least one call first. But in this call, this guy is a Jew blamer, and he acts like he's all chummy with Jesse, and it's just so fake. Oh my gosh. And I can't believe that all these people don't see through it. But I guess they don't see through it because they agree with him. But I mean, even if you agree with him, you have to see through that fakeness. And a lot of these callers are so fake. And I've had callers on my show call in pretending to be friends, and then they'll say, can I read something? And it's at the very end of the show. I've already given them 30 seconds. I said, 30 seconds. And then these people, good friends again, will conspiracy theorize that I purposely held this caller off to the very end. I didn't know who it was or what he wanted to talk about. But he conspiracy theorizes that I pushed him off to the end and then I cut him off like I'm going to let somebody read some random thing. Reading doesn't come off well on air. Like I'm going to let somebody use my platform, Jesse's platform, for their thing. Anyways. So, caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, James.
Hey, Maze, how are you?
I'm just fine.
What do you think about what I've said so far about Jew blamers and people getting mad at Jesse about pot and not getting into blaming Jews and all that stuff?
Well, you sit and listen to people blame people every day. It's about love and hate. If
right.
you get a group of people to teach you to hate people, you're going to hate everything that they lead you to do.
No,
so
but there's no...
What you need. Hold on, brain power.
Brain power.
Those facts that's being given are...
But we're not teaching anybody to hate. People already hate.
Excuse me?
I said we're not teaching anybody to hate. People already hate.
Oh, yes, you do. You teach people to hate.
No.
Because there's no love there when you blaming and complaining. By getting to know people, sitting and saying what this community doing and that community doing and this community doing, but you all were doing the same thing in the community, but you're just looking at focusing on one.
Yeah.
And then you
Because Jesse's called to one.
It's just like
kind of like Paul was called to the Jews first and then to the Gentiles. So Jesse is called to the blacks first and then to the whites. So now.
It's what I'm saying is the way you teach hate. You say you got upset because Obama won a second time. Why were you upset?
Because I have hate in my heart.
That's what I know.
That's what you know.
You got hate in your heart. But what taught you? Well, how did you get there? You just woke up one morning and looked and said, I don't want him to be president a second time.
No, I was not taught to hate. You're not taught to hate except maybe by your parents and your siblings.
So how did you form that opinion to hate because he won a second time? Was it your opinion or you formed it from someone else giving you something to hate for?
Everybody gets it for someone else. For someone else.
That's what I'm trying to say. So
and from watching Obama himself, he's a hateful person.
Well, if you say so, that's your opinion, not no fact.
And people who hate hateable people.
Excuse me. And then when you talk about hemp, you talk about the Bible. Go to your verses and find hemp. Hemp is in the Bible.
I don't care. There's a lot of things. There's wine in the Bible too. It doesn't mean you should get drunk.
There's a whole lot of stuff in the Bible that people got drunk off of.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
and I don't do any of them.
Good.
But see, they always in somebody's business.
Except you're drunk on hate.
What?
Except you're drunk on hate.
No, well, if you say I'm drunk on hate, that's your opinion. See, you take your opinion and make it an opinion of who. You don't have any facts. You're just giving out opinions. Everybody have one. That don't mean you have to agree with it.
Yeah.
Your opinion is different from mine. And the way I see things is different from the way you see things.
Obviously.
But it's my opinion, not my facts. And some of them are facts by living and being around people.
This is the other thing.
To know people.
This is the other thing. There's a big difference between facts versus truth. And we've talked about this a lot.
That's what I'm saying. Well, facts are truth.
No. Facts are not truth.
Why aren't they?
Facts are not truth.
Why are they not truth?
Because you can get into your pet facts and totally be believing a lie about them.
No, you can make up a lie in between them with a fact.
You can have all the facts in the world and you're nothing.
All we hear is opinion, and you don't get to know people. That's your opinion with them. And if you know people and been around people that you hear people sit and hate, and you say those people are not like that. They just want to fear a bunch of hate because they don't know the people. They just fear, and fear is hate too.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's why you see people going around in churches and doing stuff like they do.
Right.
And some of this stuff is funny. It's just like I said,
very funny.
Laugh, but that's true.
Thank you.
Everything you see don't mean that you got to believe it.
Right. Yep. Thank you, Maze.
So, and it's like that. So if you get rid of your fear and you get rid of your blaming, because
how do you get rid of fear?
James, when you sit around and you say somebody blaming, just write down everything you blame.
All right.
And the people that you blame. Write it down and see why do you hate it.
Okay.
And it'll help you out a lot.
All right.
Brain power. Have a good one.
All right, you too, Mace. Thank you. Let me get to one more caller before I get to these sound bites, these clips. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, James, this is Skip. How you doing?
All right, Skip. Can you turn him down a little?
Can you hear me okay?
Skip? Yes, I do. I hear you quite well. How are you doing?
Okay. I'm doing good. How you been getting along?
Pretty well. What do you think about people who blame Jews, Skip?
Well, that's wrong, and I had to learn the difference between hating Jews and hating the Jewish religion, because the Jewish religion is totally against Christianity.
But you don't have to hate that either. You just know it's wrong. But you don't have to hate it.
You don't hate it, but you recognize it as being wrong. I guess that's the way of putting it.
Well, I mean, in reality, like we're the real Jewish proselytes if Christianity came from Judaism.
Well, have you ever read any of the Jewish writings?
Just the Old Testament.
Okay,
which is also the Christian ones.
Well,
my point is about the blame part.
Well,
don't you notice people getting caught up in that?
Well, yeah, and I get caught up. I'm bad about getting caught up in it too.
Yeah.
Because,
see, that's the problem. Is like we get sucked into these arguments about the factual information, and there's a lot of facts out there. And I'm not saying that all or even most of what these Jew blamers are saying is wrong. I don't know. I don't really care. The point is
here's some facts for you.
I don't care about facts. Like I said,
the Jews own Hollywood, they own the Federal Reserve, they own the Diamond District.
But see, this is what you're getting sucked into. Like I said, like we all know that they disproportionately own all that stuff. But what's the point? There's no point to
Well,
it.
nothing good comes from any.
But nothing good comes from.
I got Jewish friends, and we agree to disagree on the religion part.
Yeah.
And they're good people, and I don't dislike them or anything. You know, I just know not to talk about religion around them. You know.
Oh, that's weird. I
Well,
understand.
why would it's going to cause an argument? Because they dogmatic about the way they feel, and I'm dogmatic about Jesus Christ and the Christian religion.
Yeah, but the problem is so many. The problem is
I'm not going to change their mind.
But the problem is people are so the evil people are so good at being evil, but the good people are not good at being good. You'll notice that the people who believe in Jesus, they don't really believe in Jesus.
Well, you do. You got a lot of Christians out there, that so-called Christians, that go to church on Sunday just so they can give them a little fire insurance. They think it's going to keep them from going to hell, and they really don't accept Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior and live that life.
Yep.
You know, it's not about having all this knowledge about things, because knowledge will puff you up and blind you from the truth.
Exactly. And Jesus loved the Jews.
Well, I disagree on that, because Jesus wasn't a Jew. Jesus was the Israelite. The Israelites.
That doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter what he was, but he loved them.
Well, he loves everyone.
Now.
But I don't know, this Jewish thing this Jewish hate can distract you from the real truth.
For sure, that's what I'm talking about. And like I remember getting into to finding out facts about black crime, because it was kind of shocking to me. I didn't realize it was so disproportionate and like the black on white crime. And I got into it, and so like, just because I know something that, say, a black guy that I'm having a disagreement with doesn't know, it doesn't make me better than them. But then it's tempting to think you're better than them when you have this knowledge. Same thing with the people who know all this stuff about the so-called Jews. It doesn't make them better, but they end up looking down on people like Jesse, who doesn't know about it, doesn't get into it, and then they completely miss the point. They actually miss the help that Jesse offers by dealing with the spiritual problem behind it. The reason that the whites lost their own country, the reason that the Christians are no longer even real Christians, and yet because they have this knowledge, they think that they're enlightened, but they're not enlightened. They're in darkness.
And I'll tell you what. One of the reasons.
So knowledge stuff is poison.
One reason why a lot of people don't listen is because they're so dead set in their own ways that they don't want to see a different way of looking at things.
Yep.
But what was the other one about? I forgot, James, that you was talking about besides the Jews.
Oh, I was also I'm going to talk about Cenk Uygur versus Tucker Carlson. And
I don't want to get into that. I can take up the whole show talking to you about that foolishness.
Yeah. You watched that debate?
Yeah, I watched it. I had to take an extra dose of high blood pressure medicine, though, when I got through watching it. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things that we got to get better at, is make ourselves healthy, because like Jesse said, we're going to end up having all this knowledge about other people being evil, when in reality we're the evil ones and we end up in hell.
That's right. We got to look inside. You know, we got to change ourselves before we worry about trying to change somebody else.
And then you know how to fight back with power. Like a lot of people, Jesse fights back with power. He's not a rollover Christian type of guy. And Trump fights back with power, and he wins. And a lot of people even conspiracy theorize about Trump. But he's doing a lot better for the country than the people that are judging Trump.
Well, you got so many sheeple out there that they're just like sheep. They follow along with what the trend is right now. They don't
that's my point of. Go ahead.
That they're not looking at what's really going on. They're not looking at our economy, how good it is. They don't look at black unemployment. Oh, Trump's a racist. He's a racist. But look at black unemployment. Look at all the good things he's doing for this country. But I might not agree with some of.
But I'm not talking about the people that we already know about. The people who are calling Trump a racist. I'm talking about the people who are looking down on Trump because he loves Israel, for example. I'm talking about those
Yeah.
people. Those people are judging Trump, saying, "Oh, he's owned and he's bought and paid for," when in reality, Trump is doing good for the country, and he's doing better for the country than any of them are. You know what I'm talking about?
I
Or
don't
maybe
believe
ever
anybody
will.
with a sane mind could say that he's bought and paid for by anybody. You know?
Yeah, he's his own person.
He is, and that's what we need in the White House. We don't need any more politicians up there. We need real people.
Yeah, and that's what Jesse is. He's his own person, and yet these people who are like subscribers, I guess, commenting on Jesse's channel, saying that he's paid, and he's paid not to talk about certain things, which is ridiculous. His
That's
mission
the
is to
furthest from
rebuild
the truth.
men.
That's ludicrous. I've never. Who could believe that?
Yeah, well, people that don't actually know him. They just like what he says about like defending whites, and then they assume stuff about him. That's my thing.
Well, assumption will get you in a lot of trouble. You
Yeah,
know?
definitely. You know, you talked about sheeple. I don't like that word, but oh god.
Who's that? Joel in the background.
Yeah.
Hey,
That's pretty
Joel,
good.
I'm glad you made it on time today.
Yeah. Not so the white guy who's black on the inside. So anyways, yeah, I'm saying my point is that most people are NPCs. Maybe all people are NPCs, non-player characters or non-playable characters. We're either NPCs for Christ or NPCs for Satan. And some NPCs for Satan are judging other NPCs for Satan for being a different type of NPC for Satan. But you're still the NPC for Satan judging the other NPC for Satan.
Right.
I think I
Yeah,
lost you.
and that's a fine line because we're not supposed to judge people, but aren't we supposed to judge right from wrong?
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, Skip, it's nice to talk to you. Nice to hear from you.
You too, James. Keep up the good work, buddy.
All right, appreciate it. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, James. It's Giuseppe from Texas.
Hey, Giuseppe, how are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. This is a very, very important show. Brilliant, poignant, and most of all, it's important. What I would like to contribute here is we have to remind ourselves that we are in a spiritual battle.
Yeah.
Because I too have fallen into that thing where you see what's going on, you see what the left is doing. And you hear Obama talk. I mean, it's very, very bad stuff. But this bad stuff, we have to calm down, right? We have to take a breath and realize, right? We have to realize that we're dealing with spirits, the spirits that are alive within us and the spirits that are alive within other people. Now, when we talk about a spirit, what does that mean? If we think about it as a person, a spirit is an actual person, but it doesn't have a body. So it is a person with a consciousness, a mind, an agenda, motivation, and the motivation of the evil spirits that are present, amen, brother, within us first, and those in front of us that we don't approve of or that get us angry. If we succumb to the anger of it and we devolve into that hate, we are lost. One of the things that impresses me the most about Jesse, and with all due respect, to a lesser degree you, but even you, that you can keep your head and calm with some of the guests that are in front of you, either on the radio or on the Fallen State. I've never seen Jesse, take the bait and then get into the anger of it when the person in front of him is clearly angered and triggered and the spirit is alive within the person that's in front of him. He doesn't enter into that energy, if you will. So I think at this moment in this country, wow, we are really, really at a crossroads. And those of us who say that we're Christian and we believe in Christ, we have to take a breath and realize, wait a second, this is not a moment to get angry. This is a moment to be calm and be discerning. The other point is I think where you're missing the point on the conspiracy, with all due respect, your brush is a little bit too wide. Because if we really discern, most of the conspiracy theories, my brother, are true. They have truth. They have a basis in truth. Again, if we allow ourselves to be taken in by the spirits that are at the base of those conspiracy theories, we will be lost.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the conspiracy theories are false necessarily. Many of the conspiracy theories that spring up, though, for example, about Jesse, are completely false. It's their imagination. They're just judging him. Their thoughts tell them such and such about Jesse because Jesse doesn't care to trash the Jews like they do, like they want to. So, or even just skip the word trash, just say criticize, whatever. But Jesse's not into that. And so they judge him for that. And they're like, they come up with a conspiracy theory about that, and that's false. So when I say conspiracy theory, I mean both true and false conspiracy theories. And getting caught up in those is bad for you.
Yes, but may I just play devil's advocate? The reason, so yes, I agree with you that Jesse's not going to go down that hole because he's saying it does you no good to criticize or blame the Jews for the problems that we have. Because the problems that we have, again, are spiritual. They are not physical. So the problem that you have is not that the Federal Reserve is run by Jews. The problem that you have is spiritual because you're in a fallen state. So I agree with you there that Jesse's focus is not on the blame game. Just like he says to the black community, your focus should not be on the white man. Your focus should be on taking care of your kids and being a good moral man. Okay?
This is why we lost the country, because of this false religion. And now it's just like the Israelites. The Israelites frequently went under rule. Yes, I was just
thinking that.
They went under rule of like the Babylonians, the Romans, and all that because they were an immoral people. They lost it, and then what good does it do them to hate the people who rule over them when they're the ones to blame for falling under their rule? God gave them over to a people maybe less deserving than them, maybe more deserving than them.
Amen. Amen. And I'm with you, brother. I don't know, I just have this thing in me that I always can see the other side. And so when I hear those critiques of Jesse, and they've also had the same critiques of Alex Jones, that the sacred cow of the Jewish community, Alex Jones won't touch. And now, I didn't hear it about Jesse, but I hear that you're saying it about Jesse.
Yeah,
I just want to make this one point, though.
All right.
I'm trying to be devil's advocate and maybe perhaps show you where that is coming from within their mind. They're waking up to this idea that, oh my God, almost everything around me is a lie. And this world that I thought was one way is actually fake, and it's false, and it's untrue. So within that state of waking up, they're aware that, hey, wait a second. When people criticize the Jewish community, man, they pay a heavy price, and they're often, like they lose their jobs, they lose their livelihoods, right? So then they see Jesse walk away from that subject, or let's say not focus on that criticism. And so that's where their mind is going to go first and foremost, because they're in the state of waking up to the falseness around them.
But they're not waking up. They're just picking up knowledge. They're not waking up. Everybody knows that there's lies everywhere. The blacks know that there are lies everywhere. The blacks know that the media lies, and yet they still believe in racism. The whites know that the media lies. Both the pro-Israel people know that the media lies, and the anti-Israel people know that the media lies. But that's not waking up. That's falling into delusion because you're getting mad at the media, or you're getting mad at the Jews, or you're getting mad at the Democrats, or you're getting mad at the whites or the blacks or the Hispanics or the Muslims, and it's just falling into anger and knowledge, getting sucked into this stupid knowledge that's not going to do you any good. And you think that you're better than them. You think you're better than everybody else. So this thing about the other thing about this is people criticize Jesse because Jesse, in their words, talks about blacks like a dog, or about Mexicans, or about whatever. And yet, when they talk about Jews, they're not talking about it out of love. When you hear Jesse talk, if you're objective, you can hear that it's out of love. It's to help. But they're not talking about the Jews to help the Jews. They're not talking about the Jews even to help the whites. They're talking about the Jews because they have this knowledge and they just want to spout it, and they're blaming. They're not actually addressing what's wrong with them or what's wrong with how it ever went wrong in the first place. They just say subversion, 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 but they're not talking about why the whites were so weak to be able to be subverted, except they just want to blame the boomers. But they're not really looking at themselves or what really the deeper issue. They're not looking at the spirit, they're looking at the physical.
Wow. Amazing!
Appreciate it, Giuseppe. I'm going to show you guys, take care, Giuseppe.
Bye, James. Have a good one.
All right. I'm going to show you guys real quick this clip of Chris, 281A. This is from the Jesse Lee Peterson show from a month and a half ago. Chris from New York calls in, pretending to be all chummy with Jesse.
Jesse Lee, how you doing, my friend?
All is well, Chris. How are you?
Outstanding, man, outstanding. I'm just checking in, keeping it super classy from the GDL. Had a couple of questions. You're talking about the children of the lion. I love that term. I guess I just want to specify because the Holocaust is the biggest lie of our generation. So will you name the Jew as the children of the lie?
Well, I don't know that to be true. That should be you. If you know that to be true, and that's your thing, then you should do it.
So that's tell me if that guy came off as genuine on Jesse's side. He did not. He came off as fake. Did that guy come off as fake? Let's play part B.
No, I do, man, and I really respect what you do, my friend. And when you say children of the lie, I get it. And it's almost like an entire generation has based policy and culture on this gigantic lie.
My thing is to rebuild the family by rebuilding the man, and my thing is to encourage.
Who's pushing this degenerate stuff, though, Jesse? I mean, I get it.
Hold on, Chris. Hold on, Chris. And my thing is to encourage people not to be angry, because when you become angry, you become a loser.
No anger. Keeping it classy.
Like I said, this guy's fake. He's phony. And spoiler alert tells us that GDL stands for Goyim Defense League. So that guy was not genuine. Keeping it classy, that's not what Jesse's no anger thing is about. Let's do the last one.
What happened to you guys that you lost your way?
I don't know, man. It's a very good question, but I think that we have to name the problem, a.k.a. name the Jew, to get to the bottom of it.
Wouldn't it be best to understand that rather than pass this blame game down to the next generation of young white people? Wouldn't it be best to understand what happened?
That has been passed down.
All right, thank you, Chris. Wouldn't it be best to know what happened before you get into blaming generation after generation of Jews? Because you're going to end up in a ditch.
Thank you, Jesse. So this guy acts like it's a good question, and then he thinks that getting to the bottom of it means blaming Jews. That's not getting to the bottom of it. That's getting to the symptom. So, caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Oh, hey, James. It's Tim from Louisiana. What's up, man?
Tim. Nice to hear from you. Long time no hear, I think. Feels like.
I know, man. It's been a minute.
How's the Discord doing? Tim set up a Discord for us, and I haven't been on it in a while.
Yeah, it's booming and popping, man. You should come on there more often and talk to us.
Yeah, I agree.
I've been out dealing with a few different things lately, but listened to your show this morning, and it's an interesting topic about people hating Jews and people playing victim. It's if you play victim in any sense, you're pretty much a manlet NPC.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, I don't care if you're over 6 foot. If you play victim, you're NPC, and you're also a manlet, and you're of your father, your daddy, the devil.
Yeah, you know,
Really,
there's a real quick. There's a lot of people who play victim, and then they try to pretend like they're not playing victim, and you'll notice that among the women, the so-called rape victims, they call themselves survivors now, because that feels more powerful, but they're still playing victim. Anyway,
they try to pad up their own ego, and make it seem like they uncovered some great knowledge and some forbidden truth that you can't go on the internet and type into Google JQ or something and learn all about it. I mean, you can read all this stuff and you can put the words into your head, but you don't know it.
Yeah.
And it's not a solution. It's just it's really just a bunch of bull, you know?
Yeah, it's just knowledge.
And like what you were saying earlier to the previous caller about them, like how Jesse, people say that, oh, well, why does Jesse call out blacks and Mexicans and everything else? Well, Jesse's not saying we should gas them and hurt them or kill them. Like if you go onto these forums and these websites that these people run, the JQers, they talk about like euthanizing, genocide, like reenacting the Holocaust. It's just not. It's not kosher. It's not their rabbi would be very displeased with them.
Yeah.
But
you know, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that even among people that watch Jesse's church. There's one guy in particular who's just constantly just totally obsessed with this Jew thing, and he literally we put out a video that this Jewish cafe was attacked by Antifa in Boyle Heights, Asher Cafe. The interview happened to be just before that call with that phony guy Chris from New York, and so we just finished up talking with this guy from Israel, immigrant, who built a business, is in textile, but he also has his cafe. And the Antifa is against gentrification because they align with illegal aliens and Mexicans and Black Lives Matter and communists and all that. And this guy, somebody commented under this that, I put it out partly because of the timing of this synagogue shooting. I wanted to show that the left was doing evil things too. So this synagogue shooting happens. So this commenter says, some right-winger killed Jews, not just attacked, killed. And so this commenter says, good. And so like he hates Jews and he thinks that he's a Christian. It's so crazy.
Yeah,
but it's so common too.
Whenever you rejoice in like some kind of violent act like that, you know you're of your father Satan.
Yep.
It's they're not behind this knowledge for a good reason. They're behind it because they're angry.
Yeah.
They're beta males.
Yep.
It's really kind of sad and pathetic. I feel sorry for them that they choose to be this way. But
it's an
really
obsession.
Not good,
It's an obsession. This knowledge is very seductive, and you get sucked into it so easily. And people will. I mean, Jesse made that great point about look at yourself. And what do? They just spout off all these facts about blaming.
It's like
crazy.
The white people who are all the JQers who are blaming the Jews are just like the blacks who are blaming whitey for all their problems. You know,
Yeah,
it's the same nature.
And they say, there's a difference between blacks blaming whites and whites blaming Jews, because the whites think that they're telling the truth, but they're telling facts. They're not telling truth. And there's a big difference between facts and truth. And there's a big difference, too, between intellect, because whites are so much more intellectual. They have supposedly higher IQ than blacks. And I guess they do, but that doesn't matter, because you can't overcome spiritual problems with your intellect. And so you're still going to fall into a ditch. Your symptoms may seem different, may come out different, but you're still going to be destroyed.
Yeah, you can have a high IQ, but you can still be controlled by your anger. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I wanted to run by you real quick, James. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Appreciate it, Tim.
Anytime, man. I'll see you in church.
All right, take care. I want to get to this Politicon thing with Cenk versus Tucker, but first let me take at least one more call. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, James, this is Mark calling
Mark.
from
Diamond Bar, California.
Diamond Bar. How are you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Pretty well.
Yeah, I was going to bring a little, just my perspective on the whole Jewish hating thing.
Yeah.
I never understood it. You know, like I'm kind of new to church, a few years. And I was kind of like, wow, a lot of people talk about that. And Skip, I really like hearing Skip. It sounded like he had a little, I don't want to say hatred, but I'll just say judgment of the religion, use his words. And I'm just like, what's the problem? I don't see, you know what I mean? Like, they don't commit a bunch of crimes. Like, they don't, like, it doesn't make sense to me. So, I don't know, maybe you guys are more used to that. You've been around it longer. But I was really...
I became more aware of it when, during the elections, 2015, 2016, that's when they started to come around. That's when they started to come out and, I mean, they're saying that they own the media and all that stuff, but they're not looking at themselves, like I said.
Okay, so, like, they own the media. That sounds like a pretty profitable thing to own. That seems like a much more logical motive to own the media than to destroy the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the media is propagating a lot of evil. And I mean, this is the other thing, that we all know that the media is evil. We all know that Hollywood is evil. We all know that these big businesses are evil. So, like, they are angry at Jesse for not naming Jews specifically about it. And because they think that somehow that's gonna help things, when in reality they're not even looking at why all of this is happening, why the corruption is winning.
Thomas Sowell says that people talk about how Jewish people are a problem. And he said, I don't remember the exact statistics, but he said on average they study way more than the average person. They spend more hours studying and working. So it's like Asian people. That's why their grades are high. That's why they make more money, because they work at it. And in Mexico, if you're Jewish, you can do business with other Jews. And if one person, like, doesn't pay you or something, they burn you, then they'll burn your name. They'll be like, you know, James didn't pay Mark, and then people won't do business with you. And now you have to go do business with everyone else. And then there's, like, threats of violence and all like that. And there is none of that inside the Jewish community. So I've always looked at it as, like, not that Jews are better, but, like, they've got something going on. You know what I mean? They look out for each other. They work hard. And it's like, when that happens, when people take care of one another and they work hard, they're going to have more stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then most people are evil, anyways, whether they're hard workers or not. And naturally, the ones who are evil, and power corrupts too, or power brings out, exposes the corruption within, I think, is more accurate, because most people are corrupt and evil. So they're blaming the people on top for being evil when they themselves are evil too.
And then a lot of these people are so-called right, like conservative or lean right, or even alt-right, right?
Yeah.
That hate Jews.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's such a leftist thing to do, to just say, oh, you know, that's such an Obama thing to do and blame a group.
It's,
you know what I mean?
In all honesty, you have to just break it down to good versus evil, and the evil is within as much as it is with outside.
Like, for example, I'll say that this is bad about leftists, this is bad about leftists, because leftism is a set of ideas, right?
Yeah.
Just like Islam is a set of ideas that I disagree with,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when you're kind of like being a leftist is when you're saying, no, it's not your fault. It's that people are shooting you. It's mass incarceration. Police are shooting you for no reason. Like you're lying to people so that they hate a whole group.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what came out in The Death of a Nation, where Dinesh D'Souza pretty much showed that Richard Spencer is a leftist. He's admittedly a progressive. So,
Yeah,
I
that was
mean, it
weird.
makes sense.
I like Jesse's interviews with Richard Spencer better. Anyway, Mark, I appreciate
it. Is the same thing. Yeah, sure. All right, Gene.
All right, see you in church. Take care. Oh man, let me get to one more call, and then I will get to the rest of the calls. I just want to get to this thing. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, James. It's Joe Kenyon from Arizona.
Hey, nice to hear from you.
Yeah, good to talk to you. So you said a little while ago that Jesse speaks from a place of love, right?
Yes.
When he's criticizing blacks.
Mm-hmm.
And to some degree, I agree with that. When he talks about self-reliance, hard work, good morals, getting married before having kids, all that's great.
Joe Kenyon, you remind me of my dad a little. The way that you talk, your voice.
Okay.
Anyways.
But my problem with Jesse, as you know from the chat group, is that when he starts lying to prove his point, that's not love, James. That's just lying.
Why do you call it lying? And point out a lie, and tell me why you call it lying.
We talked about it many times about how he keeps claiming that the black air traffic controllers, it's a done deal that they cheated, which is not the case at all. Right?
So do you think that he's intentionally lying, or just he believes this thing that isn't true, or isn't proven? Say.
Well, I reported it to him multiple times that the FAA has investigated and reported to Congress that there's no cheating, no favoritism. But he doesn't believe it. And he keeps repeating the same lie over and over again.
So he's repeating something. So do you think that he's intentionally lying?
I do, to put black people in a bad light, yeah.
Interesting.
Because he uses that as his justification to show that no black person gets into college without affirmative action, which is also a crazy, stupid, false thing to say.
But he's not saying that. But okay, so
I've heard him say exactly that, Jay.
He does say that, but he doesn't. But that's not what he's saying. He's saying that everybody gets into college, right? Say all the blacks that get into college, many of them are from affirmative action. No longer can you discern the blacks who really deserved it from the affirmative action entries. That's his point.
Why not?
Because you don't know. Because in many cases they may have gotten in by affirmative action. Now you don't know because this corrupt thing exists called affirmative action. Now you don't know, and he's saying that that's so unfair to the blacks who are actually working hard and actually deserving it.
Okay.
Haven't you heard him? You haven't noticed him saying that?
Yeah, I've heard him say that.
Do you agree that that's unfair?
Here's my point on that.
Okay. Do you agree that that's unfair, though? You can say...
No, I don't.
Okay. All right.
I don't. Here's why. Because there's legacies, right? You've heard of legacies, right? If your parent went to college, that's how Bush got into Yale, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't hear him railing against that. And to say
it's not a big issue.
Now listen, if you would just say, look, affirmative action shouldn't mean lowering standards for black people, I'd be saying, great, perfect. You're right on line, Jesse. Right? Affirmative action should not mean lowering standards for anybody. It should be meaning making sure there's inclusivity for people of all backgrounds. Mm-hmm. Great, fantastic. Okay, but when he goes on the show saying no black person gets into college without affirmative action, that's just a lie. And I know what he's trying to get at, but that kind of stuff spreads misinformation and hatred and anger in people like the shooter in Pittsburgh.
No, man, that's not that. Okay, first of all, that doesn't spread anger. People are already angry.
Sure it does.
People are already angry, and him saying that people are not as dumb as you think, Joe Kenyon.
Oh, sure they are. They're dumber. Absolutely dumber. Are you kidding me?
No, but I'm not. I'm talking about when Jesse says something like that. That is not something that somebody's going to take with and shoot up a place.
Are you kidding me? Look at Dylan Roof.
Dylan Roof did that because of crime.
No, well, he
did it because of.
He also said that. Look all these black guys raping white women. And
yeah,
that's
they
not
are
true at all either.
It is true.
No, they're not.
It is true. It's a fact. Look at the Bureau of Justice statistics and look at the black on white rape compared to white on black rape. It's like virtually non-existent.
The overwhelming percentage of crimes against whites are by other white people.
That's irrelevant.
What are you talking about?
It's irrelevant because blacks are disproportionately attacking whites, and whites are not attacking blacks disproportionately.
I would agree that FBI stats do show that uneducated, poor black people from.
But when you're adding in stuff like uneducated and poor, it sounds like you're adding in excuses.
No excuses. It's just the facts. Facts don't care about feelings. Facts.
Okay, Ben Shapiro.
It's true. And second, and when he talks about, I called in a few weeks ago and tried to nail him down, and you were there about Zimmerman, how he's a total thug with a criminal record and abusing women.
This whole thing,
and he would not admit it.
Your whole thing is like whites do it too, though, because you brought this up with legacy.
No, it isn't.
Yeah,
no,
it
is.
Isn't. Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't. My thing is, Jesse, when you're trying to criticize black people, stick to the facts and don't hyperbolize everything and just denigrate them for no good reason. If you want to say, listen, get married before having kids.
Did you vote for Trump?
Work hard in school. Have good morals and ethics. Have strong families. I'm his biggest cheerleader. But when he starts lying and painting black people in a bad light using false information, that drives me nuts.
Well, don't let it drive you nuts, man. Nice to hear from you, Joe.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You as well. Callers, let me play this Cenk thing. I just have to play it. Let me just blow through these. Give me 2 minutes, and I'll knock it out. 3 minutes, okay. Let's play this from Golden State Times. Cenk addresses Tucker on saying demographic change is scary.
You say demographic change is scary and can be disconcerting. And I think that a lot of people don't see that. I don't see it. A lot of people in our audience don't see it. And so they wonder why folks are so scared. And so I literally don't know the answer to that. If you're saying crime, it's not crime. As we talked about before, I can give you more stats, 110% increase in immigration since 1980. Crime in the country has gone down 36%.
I don't care about his thing about crime. I don't believe him. But demographic change, this man makes a point that it is scary, Tucker, because it just literally is. This is part of the reason that segregation, a lot of people look to segregation as an answer for keeping peace between the races, because the different people, like look at reality. White people are falsely called racist all the time by the quote-unquote POCs and by other whites. All the time falsely called racist. So that's because of demographic change. That's because you're mixing other people with the whites. And so there's this temptation to think, oh, you're judging me just because I'm such and such color, which is so stupid. But so Cenk is being disingenuous in saying that he doesn't get it, because he's one of the main people crying racism all the time. So anyways, let's go to about free speech. Tucker talks about free speech.
There's no circumstance under which you can say what I'm allowed to think, period. And all of a sudden you have people being like, well, but what if it's really heinous? I don't care. You don't get to define heinousness, pal. Only I can define it. And you can't stop me. And that's what makes this a unique country in the world. It's not our market economy. It's not our justice system. It's not our interstate highway system. It's speech. We're the only country that has it, and we're on the cusp of getting rid of it.
And white people are losing their free speech more than anybody. Case in point, Megyn Kelly. And spoiler alert points out they're scared, quote unquote, because they look at South Africa or Brazil. Plenty of reason white folks should be concerned about their being replaced. And they're just hated. Let's play Cenk's so-called rebuttal to, he pretends to feel just as fervent about speech. I don't know where he was on Alex Jones.
So I actually feel just as fervently about speech. But Tucker, for a guy who's as vigilant about protecting speech, I am curious, and again, this is genuine, why you don't support the free speech rights of Colin Kaepernick.
It's really funny.
I like that response. Really ridiculous. Colin Kaepernick is not a free speech issue. And then let's play this part where Cenk asks who will speak for blacks if not for Colin Kaepernick, and he pretends that the media doesn't speak for blacks. Pretend to, anyways.
Who is going to speak for them? Is the media going to pay attention to a middle class guy, to a poor guy? They pay no attention whatsoever. And so people object to the way that Colin Kaepernick did it. Well, oh my God, he did it in the middle of the national anthem. Why did he do it in the middle of the national anthem? To get your attention. And the reality is that's the only thing that works when a rich guy who's a famous athlete does something in the middle of something that you're paying attention to. And so now we should have that conversation about police brutality against African Americans. Perfectly done by Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, if you support evil. So anyways, that's the summary. Those were my highlights of the Cenk versus Tucker debate. Yeah, the media does pretend to speak for black people. Look at how they lionized not even a middle class person. They lionized Michael Brown. They lionized what was that guy's name? Trayvon Martin. They jump on any story of a black person. That's the whole reason that Colin Kaepernick is even out there, is because he believes the stupid media lies. So anyways, that's that. Oh, callers, I'm so sorry I can't get to you, but we gotta end. Take care, guys. See you next week. Watch Church in 1 hour, less than an hour, with Jesse Lee Peterson. Go to rebuildingtheman.com/church. Subscribe to Bond Rebuilding the Man on YouTube. Bond Rebuilding the Man. We're going live. Take care.